One thing I've noticed is that many people don't start learning a new language because they don't think they have enough time. Their life is just way too busy. So they're gonna have to learn their desired language sometime in the future. Now, every time that I have heard this from someone that I know or have read it online somewhere, it has always irritated me because I just wish they knew how easy it is to make time for language learning. One of the easiest ways that I make time for language learning is by combining language learning with the tasks that I do in my daily routine. So I try not to treat language learning like a homework assignment that I need to get done as fast as possible so I can go on and enjoy the rest of the things that I like to do in life. In the morning time, one thing that I love to do when I'm brushing my teeth is get my notebook out and review some vocabulary. Also, in the morning time, I like to stretch for about 10 to 15 minutes. So while I'm stretching, I also review my vocabulary. So I might throw my notebook on the couch or I might throw it on the ground so I can see it a little bit better. I even read a few pages out of my Spanish and French books that I'm reading. I make time for language learning when I'm on the way to work, which is a full-time job. So what I like to do when I'm driving is put on some Spanish radio. Thankfully, here in Texas, there are many Spanish radio stations. So I get to listen to conversations that are happening in Spanish, but also I get to listen to music in Spanish. If I'm not listening to the radio in Spanish while I'm driving, then I'm listening to a podcast in Spanish or in French. Can you see just how easy it is to make time for language learning yet? Keep in mind that not every language learning method has to take the same amount of time. So I can be reviewing vocabulary for 5 minutes or even less. Or if I'm listening to music, I can be doing that for 10 to 15 minutes or even longer. I try to make time for language learning at work as well, and that can be quite the challenge because, as I said, I have a full-time job, so that takes a lot of time and energy out of me, so there's not so much time to learn my target languages, but I do the best that I can do. I have some Spanish-speaking coworkers that I speak Spanish with, or we're chatting on Teams or something like that, so they can teach me some new words and phrases in Spanish. That happens all the time. But if we are too busy to talk when we are working, then during our breaks, we have a conversation as well. Depending on the type of job that you have, you may be able to listen to a podcast in your target language or listen to some music in your target language or even read some articles online. After work, I like to go to the gym and work out. And of course, even at the gym, I'm making time for language learning. So one thing that I love to do is warm up. And by warm up, I mean I like to ride the bike or I like to go on the stair stepper. So while I'm warming up like this, I like to complete a few lessons of Duolingo or I like to use the application Memrise. And I'm usually warming up for 10 to 15 minutes, so I can actually learn a lot in that time frame. When I get back home after work and working out, surprise, surprise, there are still some things that I must do, like cooking and cleaning. When I'm wiping down counters and I'm sweeping and I'm vacuuming, I love to listen to some music in Spanish. I also like to speak to myself in Spanish and in French. And if you didn't know, that is a great way of learning your target language as well. Then I also like to think in Spanish and in French, another great method for learning my target languages. And with thinking and speaking, I do a lot of narration. So I just narrate everything that I'm doing. Estoy pasando la aspiradora ahora mismo. And in French, I don't know how to say that. So I'm just saying that I am vacuuming or estoy barriendo. I think that's how you say it. Estoy barriendo mi cocina y mi baño. So I'm sweeping my kitchen and my bathroom. I don't know how to say those in French either, but that's when I will go online and I will look up those things that I do not know how to say. And it's always nice to have my Spanish or my French dictionary right next to me or just have it on the counter somewhere so I can look up these things that I don't know how to say or how to think. How to think. And then as well, while I'm cooking, I like to narrate what I'm doing. And usually before I cook, I will look up the recipe in Spanish, and then I will also watch a video as well of what I am about to cook in Spanish. And then that helps me to actually narrate a lot better because I know kind of the words that I need to be saying. Or I just say whatever off the top of my head. So I'm trying to think of one thing. Like, okay, vamos a hervir el arroz por 5 o 10 minutos. Después de eso, apagamos el fuego y también tenemos que freír el pollo por unos 20 minutos con mantequilla. Sometimes when I'm eating my dinner, I like to throw on a YouTube video, or I may turn on Netflix and watch a movie or a TV show. Now, keep in mind that you can make time for language learning no matter where you are. So even when I am out and about, so if I'm running errands, like if I'm going to the grocery store, I'm going to the mall or something like that, I make time for language learning. And I do that primarily by communicating in Spanish and also in French. So when I'm at the grocery store, there are usually many opportunities to speak Spanish with the workers there. As well, I even remember the time that I went to the mall and I bought some shoes and I bought some perfume in Spanish. And this was my first time doing that, so I actually learned a lot of vocabulary because I was not used to buying things like that. I went to an auto mechanic one time to get my tires replaced, and one of the mechanics spoke Spanish, so this was another great opportunity that I was able to have a conversation in Spanish. I don't only speak my target languages with strangers, but also with my friends, because I have some friends that speak Spanish and French. My daily routine may not be the same as yours, but always keep in mind that you can make time for language learning. As well, there are so many methods for learning your target languages or your target language that you can experiment with. Maybe you don't read physical books like I do, but you like to listen to audiobooks, or you like to go to different language exchange groups. You like to have ITALKI lessons. You like to play games to learn your target language. You have to figure out how to manage your time as a language learner. Now, this is very challenging, I know, just because with how busy life is, but this is also the very fun aspect because you have to figure out how you can be very organized and maybe do some reprioritization of some daily tasks. I know for me, not every single day and not every single week is exactly the same, so I'm always changing up my daily language learning routine. Another good tip for you is to use a stopwatch when you are learning. So that is something that I like to do a lot. So while I'm reading or I'm listening to some music or watching a movie or TV show or something like that, I like to know how long I'm doing those things for so I can manage my time better. Now, do you feel more confident that you can make time for language learning? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure that you share it with your language learning friends. Thank you very much for watching y hasta la próxima.